What's going on, champions? Welcome back to Sats and Success. I got a juicy one for you here on today. So I'm in the gym the other day working on my physical health, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. MJ, you got way too much meat on the bone with the world is in trouble episodes, which actually has become a mini series. And so I knew I had to drop part 3. So here we are in today's video through the 4 pillars of health that I live by and discuss constantly on this channel. I'm going to give you more of the things I do to make sure my world and hopefully your world isn't in trouble, even though the rest of the world is. All right, here we go. So another one of my spiritual health habits is prayer. Prayer is talking to God. Meditating is hearing back from God. Again, prayer is talking to God. Meditating is hearing back from God. We live in a world that is so fast paced. We very rarely have time to sit down and just be still, free from all the distractions like our phones, kids, television, etc. But that's a topic in and of itself that we can have another day. I speak to God throughout my day. Let me say that again. I speak to God throughout my day. God is my heavenly Father. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and He longs for a relationship with me. I'm His son. Again, as I stated in part 2, God is my source. It's my source, my rock, my foundation. I need to stay plugged into my source. I just can't pray in the morning and then unplug from the source for the rest of the day, right? I got to stay plugged into the source. Prayer, man, prayer is a powerful boy. Let me tell you something. I got some testimonies as to the power of prayer that I'm going to share with you at some point. When trouble comes my way, I run like Usain Bolt to God in prayer. Man, does He deliver. Man, does He deliver. All right, let's move on to another one of my mental health habits. All right. I used to work on my mental health through meditation. I say used to because although I haven't done it much as of late. But meditation does wonders for the mind. It reduces stress and it controls anxiety. Remember part 1 of The World is in Trouble? Remember what we talked about? If you haven't seen that video, go check that out. We have a global mental health crisis. We have a global mental health crisis. So my question for you is, how intentional are you being about working on your mental health? Meditation also, it enhances your emotional well-being. Heck, I'm talking to myself right now because just as I'm talking, I'm like, I absolutely have to get back to finding time to meditate. Come on, MJ. Come on, do what you know you need to do, even if it's only for 5 minutes a day, even if it's only for 5 minutes. All right. All right. So let's move on to another one of my physical health habits. Simply stretching. Stretching every day. I remember I had a week where my hamstrings were tight for whatever reason. And a week later, I started having excruciating back pain. I mean, pain like I never felt before. I couldn't even move for a while. And I'm thinking, I need to go to the doctor. Remember what I talked about in part 1 about the complexity of the human body and how everything works together in order for us to function properly? Yeah. Yeah. I was reminded of that quickly and painfully, might I add. When I was able to finally move, I did 2 things. The first thing, I went and I got some icy hot, and I rubbed that thing all over my back. The second thing that I did is I immediately started to stretch. I felt a little bit better And I continued that stretching regimen. So like the next day I was doing more stretching, felt even better. Again, I continued that stretching regimen throughout the week. And by week's end, I realized I didn't need a doctor. I needed to stretch. Simply needed to stretch. Do you know what some of the benefits of stretching every day are? Once again, y'all ask good questions, so I'm going to tell y'all. Yes, we know stretching improves your flexibility and range of motion. We all know that. It improves your posture as well. Guess what else? Guess what else stretching does? It helps to heal and and prevent back pain. Guess what another benefit is? It's great for stress relief. Yes, it's great for stress relief. Something we discussed in our mental health pillar. World's in trouble. I told you the world's in trouble. Yours, mine's, doesn't have to be. Relieve some of that stress in your life and stretch every day. This is one of the easiest things we can do to help our physical and mental health. It's free, it's convenient, because we can do this while watching our favorite television show. Come on, champions, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Gave you something free, easy, convenient to do that's going to help your physical health. Also, it's going to connect your mental health. It's going to help your mental health. You see how this stuff is connecting? Are you guys starting to see more and more how all four pillars of your health are interconnected, and why there has to be intentionality and improving in all areas so you can have the optimal balance and success in your life? You see how all this stuff is working out? All right, last but not least, I'm going to give you another one of the things that I do, one of my financial habits. And that is, I study Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blockchain technology like a mad man. Before I ever got into real estate, before I ever flipped my first house, I studied real estate for an entire year. I read every book I could read. Besides watching football, I watched HGTV back in the day religiously. And when I learned all I could, I applied that knowledge into my very first flip. Now, it took me 7 months because I did most of the work myself. I wouldn't do anything different. It taught me a very valuable lesson. But I made over 22,000 on that flip, and that was in 2008. 2008. That ring a bell? You guys remember what took place in 2008? We had a financial crisis on a global scale. A financial crisis on a global scale that hit back in 2008. And that was when I realized if I can flip houses in this market, I can flip it in any. But fast forward, I got into Bitcoin and crypto in 2018 blindly. I heard about it, and like most then and still do now, I ignored it. I think at the time I heard about Bitcoin, it was probably a couple $100, and then it went to like 5,000, like Bitcoin does. And it was on my radar. And I told myself I was going to look into it, and of course, I did not. Which was that was unusual for me, but I kind of sort of had an excuse because I was laser focused in on building my real estate portfolio. Um, and that was it. I mean, that's what I was laser focused in on. Bitcoin hit $20,000, and I was so pissed. I mean, pissed to the point where my total day was ruined by that news. Heck, that news ruined the next day for me. Excuse me. So for 2 days, I mean, I was pissed. I was so mad at myself for not taking a couple hours to study this thing, to see if it would be something I would be interested in, not even to invest in, but just to simply see if I would be interested in it at all. I was aware of it, but I never moved to the interest phase. That should sound familiar because that's something I talk about in another one of my videos. And then Bitcoin did what Bitcoin does. It went from $20,000 back down to 4,000. And I bought blindly. No due diligence. I just bought. I knew it was a digital currency of some sort, but that was my extent of understanding what Bitcoin was. I didn't know of any of its use cases other than that. And let me tell you something right now. Hear me and hear me very, very well. Don't ever, 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 ever buy any asset or investment blindly. If you become aware of an investment opportunity to the point where it interests you, awareness, interest, evaluation, awareness, interest, evaluation, awareness, interest, evaluation. You move on to the evaluation phase. That's called doing your homework. So I had this Bitcoin, never paid attention to it for 2 years. Then I decided to check it. Now, I had everything at the time that I had on Binance. And Binance had one platform. It was Binance International. They was going at the time, they were, trying to ban the crypto industry, and anybody in crypto was going through it. And so Binance had to actually form another platform, a Binance USA platform. So I had to get all of my tokens off of Binance International, moving on to the Binance USA platform. Well, I just decided to take it off and put it back into Coinbase. Now, when I made that move and I flipped it back into Coinbase, my Bitcoin alone was over 8,800 bucks. I was like, what the heck just happened? What just happened? Because I put $2,000 into Coinbase to transfer over into Binance, because at the time, Coinbase only had 4 things. It had Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. And I wanted to get some other altcoins. So $1,500 went to Bitcoin of the 2,000. And then some went to ETH, some went to Cardano, and some went to Stellar Lumens. But nevertheless, that $1,500 turned into over 8,800, and that pushed me into the evaluation phase. And I've been studying Bitcoin ever since. And the thing about Bitcoin is once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you see Bitcoin, you can't unsee it. And see, I didn't understand back then what I know now. If you learn about money, I highly, highly suggest you do. I highly suggest you do. If you really learn about how money really works, there is absolutely no way you wouldn't be bullish on Bitcoin. And the funny thing is, one of the reasons why people don't use or own Bitcoin is because they don't understand how it works. But yet, most don't understand how money works. Yet they use it all the time. If you learn about how fiat works, how the central banks work, how the Fed works, how inflation works, and anything to do with money, the more you realize it's all based on one big Ponzi scheme, and it's not sustainable. And those in power, they know that. They know. And this is why there is a global monetary reset happening before your very eyes. Now, I believe it's going to take about a decade to fully unfold, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. That means it's not happening. Oh, it's happening. And those with the foresight to see what's happening right now and make the moves right now are going to be the ones most prepared and most to prosper from the shift. And that's what I've been doing even before I started this channel. And I will continue to do for all of you in this community. My quest is to make sure you, me, we are prepared for this shift taking place so that all of us prosper together. That's all I got for you. That's all I got. If this content has added any value to your life, please do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so you're notified and get more content just like this and even better when it hits. Hey, listen, as always, knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is. You've been given knowledge. The question I have for you is, how will you use today's knowledge to enrich your life? Be blessed. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.